Day 2 sorting session. Pile doesn't look much smaller than it did yesterday, but I did remove 2 big totes. And let's see how far we can get today. I'm gonna start with the Christmas decorations because that's where we left off yesterday. I ended up going down a happy little path of making a separate video for each of my children for with the ornaments, with a little story behind them for them. And so now nobody has to make a special trip to do anything. I still kept a Merry Christmas cross stitch, and underneath that foil is the Santa Claus magnet. And yeah, I guess not ready to part with that. The ceramic, update on the ceramic. I have willing recipients of the 2 ceramic pieces from my grandmother and their great-grandmother. This was the box that all the ornaments were in before I went through them. It's so satisfying, and those of you that are looking at huge amounts of these things, I just want to say I just started with 15 minutes a day, and it took a while. And I tried to enjoy it the best I could. If you like to take pictures and want to leave stories for people that you love, you don't have to post them. Just make them as you're downsizing, as you're going through things. Then you don't have to go back one day. This, and speaking of going back, these things here are either promised to someone, and as in the case of this a Christmas tree skirt, which again, this when my mother-in-law made this. I'm not sure that I said that yesterday. There is a wedding in the family, and I'm going to make inquiries if perhaps they might like that as a wedding present. Moving around, I think I'm going to just do a quick thing through here as I started to really go through. These are all things that I'm going to bring to the RTR if I make it, from the Mr. Buddy on down. These are things, along with other things, are going to go to a shelter and a thrift store. Imogene always finds a little nest. This is things coming out and things coming in. Here, these are items that I'm still working on. I'm still thinking about them. I could have used them at some point when I was on the road, so stay tuned, there's more for that. Over here is a CD player that I think still works, and the last of the CDs that, that was hard. Music is a big thing. I love being able to put music to these stories. I hope you're enjoying it also. I started looking into this and trying to learn about this along the same time when Mike was really getting sick. So I never was able to give it the attention it deserves. I don't know, if someone out there really wants to make lipsticks, depending on where you live and where I'm going in the next year, which I'm not really sure yet, maybe we can have a little lipstick making party. I don't know. These are bottles that I buy in bulk for my body sprays and essential oils and such, and I still dabble in that. I carry some with me, so I have a couple blends that I'd say I'm, known for, of the people that know me through my shop. These are soaping supplies. All these, everything in here was obtained through thrifting. A lot of the tools Underneath those towels are lye for both making liquid soap and solid bar soap, drying racks, the molds. These were not inexpensive, but they make soaping so much easier. And if you remember Jen, she was featured, she's the poet, throughout the San Diego, and we did a little road trip. I'm going to go visit her. We're going to have a soaping party, and I'm going to leave her all this stuff. And so that's, of course, going to be a story, and stay tuned for more about that. Speaking of craft supplies, this is about the last of the craft supplies. I gave all my jewelry supplies to a kindred spirit in Snow Hill, and with the thing that we could get together and make jewelry. So that might be a possibility in the next couple of months. These are all, I used to make affirmation bottles and sell them, and I used to take watch bands out the guts and put little collages in them. So it's feeling like I want to ask you, my subscribers, if you are interested in doing any of this stuff with me, because I have these leftover things, that would be a really fun series showing the creativity of people. And I used to use this in my shop for making scrubs and things like that, little molds, and oh my goodness, I had a lot of soap molds. And when I was going through here, I was like, I wonder if that would fit into the oven. This toaster oven, that was actually going to go in the free pile, but since I had such a fun time baking potatoes in Mount Hood, I really thought maybe I'm going to resurrect this and see if I could see how it goes and the possibilities. So I wasn't sure I wanted to keep this oven because see this here, so the door just, would it work? So that's part of the reason that I was going to chuck the whole project, and like it's clunky and all this other stuff. But again, the potato success makes me want to try a little bit more campfire cooking. So I had this, and again, use what you have. Got this Coleman stove. It actually is kind of an engineering wonder. So I'm really looking forward to checking it out. It's very delicate, like these things have to fit into there. So, there's a little bit of adjustment. I'm like, oh my goodness, is this, too much trouble than what it's worth? And the thought that I had right after that was, in doing this, you are feeding yourself, you are taking care of yourself, you are doing all those things in the way that you want to do it. What else do you want to do with your time? When I was working, I wanted to be puttering like this. When I was puttering, I wanted to work, and I guess I found the balance for me. And there we go down another rabbit hole of just contemplation. As soon as I started to pack this up, of course, this fell out because it's loose. So I'm like, I'm just going to get a pair of needle, no pliers, and figure out how to, fold it, maybe, hook it underneath this thing or something like that. No needle nose pliers. Like, drat. So I just pulled these out. I'm like, okay, if that's the only thing you lost on the road this year, Diane, count yourself lucky. But I had this toolbox. When I opened up this case just to see what was in it, look, a pair of needle nose pliers. Not in the best shape, but glad I kept that. And I know what a hard decision it is to say, oh, let me keep this, maybe I'll need it. This is my first year back after being out a full year and not stopping back in here. And I think I did a pretty good job of it. So far, I've been able to repair or replace what I have with that, and figure one more time, and then it'll be time for me to redecorate. And I will have used up all the stuff that I collected over the years. I put on the cinematic mode because these boots have done some walking. And they're still wearable, but they're really on their last legs. It is now 2022. I bought these boots in 1996 on an epic 3-week RV trip with our 5-year-old daughter and our 7-year-old son. That RV was lent to us. I bet you thought that I was going to continue with the story about the boots, right? Nope. Because I want to give you some questions. I want to hear your story. I want to hear your boot story. Yeah. I know this downsizing is among the most challenging of anything I've ever had to do, because I had to keep focus. And I am, in an earlier video, I broached the subject that there was a possibility that, I maybe should look at, maybe I'm an adult ADHD person. It's not something that I think about a lot, and every once in a while I will watch a little informational things about adult ADHD, and there's a couple of things that came up that I can remember, and we only have time for a couple. One of them is feeling like I was lazy. I'm not sure where that came from. This is a self thing. And the reason why I was labeling my own self-label, nobody outside of me ever told me this. I was labeling that to myself is because I was always looking for an easier way. And so I equated that with, well, you're just trying to save time because you don't want to do this, and that means you're lazy. And so that's a little tip that I just heard the other day about that. The other thing is about focus. And one of the little examples that they gave is self-talk. And I guess that's how I have managed it mostly, is self-talk, is what I say about focus when something gets boring to me is, that's okay, Diane, you can do anything you want. All we have to do is finish this first. That is how I talk to myself. And that I would say is key in me being able to, bringing it up to this particular thing about downsizing. That has been the key to my ability to focus, because every time it got hard, and sometimes I had to leave it and come back a week later or a month later, I tried to enjoy it the most that I could. And somewhere along the line, stopped myself from saying, you can do this later. And there are some key points of you can do this later. And I guess people would call those, stepping stone goals, or But for me to feel good about leaving last year, I had to downsize to just those boxes that you saw across the wall and some boxes in the basement. And I am diligent because there are things that I want to do. And I am saying to myself, Diane, you can do anything you want. All we have to do is finish this first. And that has inspired me to do that. I leave you with that. I'd like to know if anybody else talks to themselves that way, or that's the way that they've managed it. Or even if it's something that's ADHD. I'm just using it as informational awareness to take me deeper into this physical world. And that's always exciting to me because there's so many amazing things that we are capable of. I see a butterfly floating, so I'm going to take that as it's time to take my leave. Thank you, subscribers, and if you know anyone that you think that would be interested in my content, I would really, really appreciate it if you would pass it on. A thumbs up is always, always helpful. And for those of you who have decided to support me through Patreon, I can't thank you enough. That you are finding my content valuable enough to have a subscription with me, and forever grateful to all of you.
As I'm running the corners, waiting for the wave, take me across all the borders, riding like the wind, going down without warning, just ain't enough for me.
Come on, pose, be the flower. You are the flower, born to be a sunflower. Sunflower girl.